the last in my Women, Words, and Wine series for this one. For this first series is an author that I know and love, an Atlanta author, a Jamaican by birth author, Fiona Zedde, a lesbian author who also writes heterosexual love. I love her writing, and most especially, I love her lesbian novels. Now, let's find out a few of the books Fiona Zedde has written. Fiona, I love bliss. Oh my goodness, to me it's like inhaling an expensive cologne, an expensive perfume. Bliss, if you never read another book by Fiona Zedde and you have not read Bliss, I would say you are doing yourself a grave injustice if you have not read the love between Sinclair and Hunter Willoughby. That's the name. Bliss, that's the love story. Bliss is the love story of Bliss Sinclair and Hunter Willoughby. Now, my beautiful little Fiona has written Fiona Zedde is the pen name of Jamaican-born American fiction writer Fiona Lewis. Her 2005 novel, Bliss, was a finalist for the Lambda Literary Award for debut lesbian fiction. She was born January 25th, 1976. She was born in Hampton Court, Jamaica. Education, San Diego State University. Nominations, the Lambda Literary Award for lesbian debut fiction, and more here. Let's see. And it says here she has written 3 novellas, Pure Pleasure, Going Wild, and Sexual Attraction, published in the collections Satisfy Me Again, and Satisfy Me Tonight, respectively. Her first novel, Bliss, and the third, Every Dark Desire, were both finalists for the Lambda Literary Award. Every Dark Desire, 2007. Hungry for It, 2008. A Taste of Sin, 2006. Dangerous Pleasures, 2011. Desire at Dawn, 2014. Insatiable Appetites, 2018. The Power of Mercy, 2017. And let's see if there are more. Yes. Bliss, 2005. Rise of the Rain Queen, 2016. Broken in Soft Places, 2013. When She Says Yes, 2014. Fiona is quite prolific and has been very busy because those are her lesbian titles. Can you imagine if we add her heterosexual love titles? Whew. I have read almost all of them except The Power of Mercy. I've already read When She Says Yes, and I just finished To Italy with Love and Other Stories by Fiona Zedde. So I've read everything except her Satisfy Me Tonight and Satisfy Me Again fiction, and her Lover's Mercy. But I will explore those as well because I love Fiona Zedde. Let's get started with Fiona's collection, story collections. My charge goes out on my camera. Here it is. When She Says Yes. That is a collection of stories, and it contains Publishers Weekly. Zedde's explicit erotic scenes keep no secrets, and her tender, masterful storytelling will keep readers spellbound and squirming. That is Fiona Zedde. Her writing is luscious. Her imagery is like a wafting, very expensive perfume that leaves you slayed and laid and ready for more. You want to inhale the words. I love her story building. I love the characters and the character development. I love the lusciousness of the settings. I love the diction and the way she weaves the story. It's all magical. I will read her acknowledgments here. When she says, yes, has been a long time in coming. This collection, a mix of old work and new, spans literally 10 years of writing. It includes the first story I ever got published, Tattoo, the one I finished a few weeks ago, Kiss of the Rain Queen, plus a few tales written during the between years. Without the help of some amazingly wonderful people, this collection would not have been possible. The Kiss of the Rain Queen was a story with African characters in it. The story was told on, the setting is the Serengeti, and the women are beautiful, sensual women who are, some are powerful and in the position of men who have lots of women, and women who are like kings in their own milieu. And a very young, innocent, lovely is sent to the Rain Queen, and she ends up having her to fall in love with her, and the Rain Queen wants to give her everything she has. It is a beautiful story. Hasna, Hasnaa, Hasna, the queen's fifth most beautiful daughter, has been sold for rain. She held her head high as she alighted from the luxurious palanquin usually reserved to carry her father and one of his wives. She was at her new home now, the palace of the Rain Queen, or as her father called the woman, an imposter. Oh, but she wasn't an imposter for Hasana. She turned out to be the love she always wanted. Love, Zora is a great story with the character Zora Neale Hurston in it. Oh my goodness, I love that because I love Zora Neale Hurston. I love the way the story was told as far as the beauty of the one character's hands, and the way you would take a body part and have someone fall in love with it. Fiona does that with hands. It's just amazing. Let me share a bit of Love, Zora with you. Okay, Love, Zora. Harlem, New York City, 1927. She looks like a liar in that cocked hat. That first sentence sums up Zora Neale Hurston in that she was a proud liar, and so am I, because liars tell wonderful stories that intrigue you. And Zora did just that. And she was a sassy woman, bold, who would indeed sport a cocked hat in 1927 Harlem. A lit cigarette perched between her fingers like a dangerous butterfly with smoky wings and a glowing head. My tante says that she is a writer, a prevaricator by trade. 3 fey-looking men, dapper in double-breasted suits and the gleam of entitlement and intelligence in their eyes, gather around her at one of La Maison Haitian's best tables, French, of which my tongue says, no. Their conversation is loud, punctuated equally by laughter and voices raised in dissent. Her laugh is the loudest. I come out to take their order, and I feel her eyes on me, like hands, warm and over familiar. The men watch her and laugh, teasing her about a large appetite. But isn't she a sweet-looking morsel, Langston? I hear her ask. Her friend chuckles and says something about me not being quite to his taste. Oh, so Langston Hughes, her buddy, was with her. Oh my God, her peer. And they're talking about the waitress who comes out. And she is the one that Zora is going to regale. I love this story. It was just a luscious blend of the possibility of truth and the stirring of fiction and the peppering of great writing and sensuality to bring forth an erotic story of a literary past. Absolutely gorgeous. Night music. I love this one. The notion of an artist, a musician, playing music and then playing a woman the same way she would play her instrument. Night music. With the concert hall's stage lights flooding over her sunset-colored dreadlocks and the ascetic lines of her face hewn in rich tones of rosewood, Zoya was breathtaking. All of Fiona's women are breathtaking. I love it. The violin's bow in her hands stroked the instrument, making it sing, even beneath the other instruments, cello, harp, flute, piano. I could still hear her, a silken noise of breath and movement, spirit and flesh. During her solo, my thighs trembled as I watched her fingers slide over the violin's strings, imagining them on me, inside me. In the sea of dark clothes and pale faces, she stood out in her tuxedo, elegant and ramrod straight in her chair, her mouth hard with concentration. When the show ended, her features softened and became human again. I'd seen her before, once, at a party in New York. Back then, her hair was shorter, and as she hadn't yet made it as far as the Philharmonic. I had been too intimidated by her striking looks to even so much as introduce myself. That night, I was content to drift around the room, watching her. And now, she was here in my sleepy Florida town, quaking my insides, just like she did 5 years ago. Is that not luscious? Come on. Fiona's women are memorable. Jamaican American, African American, Latinas, they're just women that you can take into your dreams and hope that one day you'll find the actual equivalent of one of them living and breathing. Let's read a little bit more of this one. After my friends drove off, I stood on the rain-splashed steps of the Symphony Hall, staring at the misted cityscape, remembering the tilt of Zoya's head under the house lights, the smiling curve of her mouth when the applause came. Are you waiting for someone? She appeared around the soaring Roman column, her fingers trailing along its textured surface. When our eyes met, her hand stilled on the marble. She was smiling. Rain fell around her like diamonds, splashing against her tuxedo jacket. Oh, so you see what I'm saying. This is the kind of writing that I fell in love with in 2005 when I first read Bliss. I absolutely love Fiona's work. The others, Morality Tale, oh, that's a juicy title. A Good Ride, Cecily and a Boy, On the Run, Crave, Fast, Wide Open, and my favorite in this collection, Return to Me, a Reme and Claudia story. Reme and Claudia, ooh, they are a luscious couple. Claudia is a beautiful older woman with twins. I believe they're twins, yes. And they are the same age as Reme. And Reme, or Remy, yeah. French again, okay, Fiona. Remy is Claudia's daughter's age. And Remy has loved Claudia ever since her daughter brought her home to meet her. That story is so wonderful. Claudia is a teacher, and she and Remy try as long as they can not to be together in this one of the novels where these characters appear first, but then after a while they stop fighting it, because can you really fight attraction that long? So let me share a bit of Claudia and Remy's story. And Remy is an entrepreneur, just so sassy and sexy, and young and yet old, and a perfect match for Claudia. Let's see. Maxwell's performance was over. The club hummed with a low-key after-party vibe, while the smooth vocals of Marcia Ambrosia bathed the partygoers from the speakers. Remy didn't know how long they'd been playing in the back room, but it was long enough for the night to deepen and to settle its seductive presence into the crevices of the club. She'd missed the rest of Maxwell's performance, but she didn't regret a single moment of it. "I'll always come home to you," Remy said. "You better." Claudia checked her lipstick in the mirror again, then left the office, closing the door softly behind her. Through the music, Remy imagined she heard the sound of her love's high heels fading into the sweetened air, footsteps walking away, but that would always come back to her, just like she would always return to Claudia, no matter what. You got to finish it for yourself. It is Fiona at her best in eroticism, sensual, sexy scenes that make you want to live in her work forever and ever. Islands of Desire is a little bit of an excerpt. It's at the end of when she says, yes, I will read that. And not now to you, but I will read that probably before I go to bed tonight. But I do want to share with you To Italy with Love. I loved this story, To Italy with Love. This was something that was different for me for reading Fiona. And the difference is that one of the main characters is a hermaphrodite. A hermaphrodite in literature, right here. I've not read that from a lesbian author. I've not. But the way Fiona handles it is just as beautiful and just as sensual as she handles all of her other works. There is a wedding going on, and Aisha is having a wedding, and she has it in Italy. The wedding party goes to Italy. The females are enjoying this wedding, and the men are at another villa enjoying themselves before Aisha gets together with her love and marry. Now, I love the way Fiona has handled the issues in the lesbian community as far as Aisha came out as bisexual. And when she did, lots of her lesbian friends in the community dropped her because of the stigma around bisexuals not really knowing who they are or what they want. And even though the main character, Iris, has an issue with Aisha being bisexual, here she is having an organ, a man's organ. How could she have sexual organ? How could she have an issue with Aisha being bisexual? But they finally come to terms with their differences, and Iris and Aisha both realize that they are loving friends for life, and that's just how it is. So Iris comes to the wedding in Italy, but look, She has no idea that she's going to meet a Jamaican-born woman, Chris Ann. Iris, the hermaphrodite, finds herself slowly, painfully, erotically, excitingly falling for Chris Ann, who is also falling for her. But they battle it out and duke it out at the wedding in Italy and the days leading up to the wedding, because they have preconceived notions about one another, or Iris is trying to be indifferent towards Chris Ann because Chris Ann is younger. And Iris is like, I can't be bothered with this. I've got to go back to my life in Atlanta and let this mess go. But she still finds herself attracted to the Jamaican-born beauty. And when the wedding party, they find themselves in Italy in the villa before Aisha gets married, together, sensually. And they are thrilled with what happens, but they don't go all the way. So towards the end of being in Italy, they do get together and they enjoy one another. And Chris Ann realizes that she can accept Iris for who she is, a beautiful woman with two sexual organs. But Iris leaves, packs her bag when the wedding is over, and she leaves Chris Ann's bed, goes back to Atlanta, and expects to just go on about her business. But she meets Chris Ann again, and Chris Ann comes to see her. And Chris Ann is also in an working in an Italian restaurant, or either at the restaurant, hoping that Iris will one day walk in. And Iris does walk in with her brother and his male friends. It is a beautiful, beautiful story that was longer than the other stories. Thus, it's the title story in the collection, From Italy with Love. And I would have loved to have read a whole novel supporting the cast of characters and the lovers, Iris and Chris Ann. Now, the second story, that girl, she's a killer, was quite delicious. It was the story of two almost superhuman type women. Louisa, who is bored and standing out on the street in New York after coming outside to get some air from a club. And of course this guy accosts her and wants to push up on her, but she's not interested. She needs a cab so she can go home, but he wants to try something. So she has to knee him and drop him, and he calls her a fucking bitch, and she's like, ugh. Original. And out of the shadows steps her Australian accented dream girl, who is familiar to her. She just doesn't see her often, and her name is Damali. And she's obsidian skinned with blue hair spiked in silver, just gorgeous. And the both of them have a night where they end up killing some rude guys and making love. It's a delightful foray into superhuman type women that you just want to say, yeah, sometimes you want to know those women. And the third story laid on my skin like a fine mist. I loved it. It's vicissitudes. It's when something changes, usually in fortune, when a situation changes. An apropos name for this story, because Rowan is a handsome, exotic Jamaican male who is wonderful in every way, financial, professional, loving, romantic. And he falls in love with Alma, a woman who works at a university there in Jamaica on the island. He doesn't tell her who he truly is, and he is a gender morph. And they vowed to tell one another the truth. They've courted for 2 years, but he doesn't tell her that, and she doesn't tell him a secret either. But their two secrets jive beautifully because Rowan is a gender morph, his mother as well, meaning he can change genders. That was so creative. I love that. He changes genders and he becomes Ro. And it's the last time that he's going to change because he's been changing throughout his life. When he turns into Ro one night and wakes up a woman, Alma is like, who are you? And how did you get in our home? Ro has to leave quickly to go see her best friend up the road, Nelson. And when Nelson sees Ro, a gorgeous woman, he knows somehow she's familiar, but he doesn't recognize his friend, Rowan, in this woman's body. But he's attracted. But Ro is thinking, I've lost Alma. I've just proposed to her after 2 years of courtship. He may have married her. And here he was now, a woman, a beautiful woman. He thinks that Alma is going to leave him because he is a woman. But little does he know that when they stop the fighting and get to actually listening and hearing one another out, that Alma is bisexual and really wanted a woman, but she fell in love with Rowan. And now Rowan is still Rowan, but in the body of a beautiful woman, Ro. What more could she ask for? It is a delicious story. I've got to read you a little of that before 222, a spiritual number, before this camera loses its charge again with my battery. The morning after Rowan proposed to Alma, he woke up transformed. His body turned into a woman's. Change must have stolen over him during the night, softening his masculine flesh, soothing away the rough bass of his voice. Something made Rowan keep still after the initial shift against the sheets that clung to limbs that felt lighter, to hips that curved and made her want to curl her body inward and continue with sleep. But wetness woke her up. Blood. Ro, a different version of Rowan, felt it sticky and cooling between her thighs and under her hips in the bed. It'd been so long since she felt it, but this was unmistakably her period. Her period. She wanted to jump up in the bed, shock at her sudden femaleness, making it nearly impossible to stay still. But she wasn't alone. Alma. The night before it had rained, a light spring shower to wash the island clean. Rowan had left the window open and turned off the air conditioning. Now the smell of rain-battered flowers and wet earth eased into the room. Outside, Ro imagined the red hibiscus flowers, bowed shut, only their long pistils with the dusting of pollen poking beyond the fire-red petals. In the bed, she slowly turned. The first thing Rose saw was Alma's cheek, the soft brown skin wrinkled from the sheets, the thick wing of an eyebrow, her mouth hidden by the pillow. Rowan's fiancé. Was she anything else since Rowan was now gone? Sighed into her pillow and moved closer. Please, please, don't wake up. Even as she pleaded silently for Alma to stay sheltered in sleep, Ro welcomed her intrusion into her personal space. She didn't move closer, although part of her wanted to bury herself in the soft comfort of Alma and her delicate woman's body. But that wasn't a choice she had. Ro smelled something else. She smelled herself. The blood, the womanness, thick, like a truth she couldn't deny. But why? Why did the change come now? She knew the answer. Last night's happiness had flashed through her, a fire burst, too intense to be sad, too intense to be safe. A gender morph's physical changes, her mother always warned her, were triggered by extreme emotions or acute physical changes. Ro had known better than to try for happiness, but she dared anyway. You gotta love the creativity in this story. Gender morph. Changing genders without an operation overnight. Amazing. And so is the story, because Ro and Alma, as I said, they find love at the end. They find all that they are seeking, because Rowan was so deeply in love with Alma. And now Ro is Alma's beauty and her love. Oh my goodness, it's a gorgeous story. Thank you so much for being with me for this first series on women, wine, and words. Wine, women, and words. Women, wine, and words. I loved sharing these favorite works with you. I will be sharing other works with you. May not be from women authors, but I will be sharing what I read with you because I love to share and I love reading. I love writing. So let's expect something from that bookshelf over there from Claudia's shelf of work. Canon of work. Yes, Claudia's canon. We'll do that video very soon. But thank you. I wish you a wonderful Wednesday. Because it's Wednesday already. I started filming on Tuesday and now it's Wednesday. Have a great one. Because I'm going to clean up and get to bed and get ready for another amazing day. Love you. Have a great week. Bye. Besitos y abracitos a todo el mundo. Kisses and hugs to everyone. And never forget, stand in your own spotlight. It is a beautiful place to be.